Alright, boys, yeah, I'm back and I've got some bullet points, and that's about it. So the rest of this is off the cuff, so bear with me. Hopefully, it all comes together nicely. I want to talk about the myth of ascension, this idea of ascension. First of all, why do we call it an ascension? Well, we call it an ascension because supposedly it will transform you, right? It's kind of like baptism, you know? It will supposedly bring you into a new era of your life. Supposedly, that's the idea. And I guess in by that definition, yeah, maybe it will. But it won't change you. It won't fundamentally change you at all. And so it will bring about a new era of your life where you realize that it's no longer really an ascension. You don't really ascend anywhere. You kind of just stay where you are, but with more perspective. When people say things like sex is overrated, that can be hard to understand, and I know this because um, I didn't lose my virginity until I was 30. But sex is overrated, and sex is a lot of things. Sex can be a chore, sex can be fun, sex can be disgusting in a good way. um, but sex is not a transformative experience. Sex will disappoint you. And I want to address a few bullet points now that I wrote down here about related to the myths of ascension and how they all kind of tie into it. And the first is that by ascending with a woman, not through the act of prostitution, but through the act of a relationship, that you will somehow cure your loneliness. And this is just not true. I talked a lot about this kind of stuff indirectly, I would say, in my previous video about my Black Pill Dating Protocol series, where why would you want her? A woman is not going to love you for you. And she is going to worry more about the performance of a relationship rather than being your companion. She's not going to do that. And so this inner loneliness you feel is not from a lack of sex in the first place. It's from a lack of humanity. It's from a lack of community. And that's something we all lack, women included, generally. They have a little bit better in terms of social circle, right? But they still lack in the community department. And their social circle is very much consists of mostly frenemies. So you are still going to be lonely. You are still going to be missing out on the experience of being a human that is having a community. And that is very difficult to be a part of. You might have to find it in places that you may not want to go. And what I mean by that is, I recently moved to an entirely different state. I have no family here, and I didn't particularly get along with my family in general. Like, we speak, but we don't talk, if that makes sense. And one of the first things I did, the third day that I was here, I went to church. I am not specifically religious, although I do find I align with Christian values. And I enjoy going to church every Sunday because, to me, primarily, it's a means of community. And I've never experienced that where I used to live. Even if I went to church or anything where I used to live, which I never really did, except for my cousin's baptism, but which I thought was beautiful. I thought it was a beautiful thing. But no, I only talked to one person at that church, and it was a larger church, sure. But the difference here is that these churches, I'm in small town I'm in a small town in the South. Everyone is going to say hello to you. And I know for sure that everyone listening to this knows that feeling of everyone ignoring you. I can't tell you, I've talked about my... I can tell you. I've talked about my stories. You can see my previous videos about my dance class stories and how I've gone to these places, I've gone to these groups, I've done hiking, hot yoga, and dance. And everyone ignores you. You walk in, you're lucky if you get acknowledged by the teacher, and you'll be surrounded by 20 other women. You'll be the only guy in the room, and they won't say hello to you. You step into one of these churches, and easily within 5 minutes or less, you'll have everyone walking up to you, excited to meet you. That is what you're missing, boys. That you will not find in the act of sex with any woman, prostitution or not. You won't find it. Alright, so next, a lot of what you're also experiencing is probably touch starvation, and that is traumatizing. I'm not trying to be dramatic there. I literally think that is traumatizing. I don't think you need a study for that. I'm sure there is a study for that. In fact, I know that babies will die if they don't experience physical touch. They will just die. And I think that while an adult or even a teenager will not die from lack of touch at that point, they'll definitely die spiritually. They'll die emotionally. And if you will find in moments of sex and relationship with a woman that you will have this peace. But the reality is that if you are anything like me, and chances are that you are so touch starved and so deprived of that human experience, not of sex, but just of touch, from anyone in general. These scars never heal. Sorry, I'm not even sick. I don't know what the fuck's going on with my body. I had to actually do 2 cuts here because I had to sneeze. Fucking stupid. I don't know what the fuck's going on. The scars never heal. You will have sex, and you will experience the touch of a woman in all kinds of ways. And in the back of your head, always whispering to you, are all the decades that nobody acknowledged you. That's trauma. That's trauma. I don't know what other word to use, but that's PTSD type shit. So, the act of having sex for the first time will not remove your scars. You will carry those wounds probably until the day you die, because it's just this physical embedded trauma in you. And maybe years and years and years of being touched and having sex, maybe years of that will resolve that, maybe. But there's no real way for you to accomplish that. So, I don't know what to tell you on that one. I swear to God, I'm not sick. I don't know what the fuck. Jesus Christ. Sometimes I hate the human body. Sometimes I do. The other myth is that you will have one woman, and that's it. And then you'll like, when you have sex with the first woman that you have sex with, that'll be the one, and it'll all be good, and you'll be with her forever. That's just unrealistic. That's very unlikely, for one reason or another. It could be that you want to explore other women, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend. But it's more likely that she will start annoying the shit out of you. The things you once found endearing about her will start to annoy you. The relationship is work for you. A relationship for men is work. A relationship for women is a vacation. You won't find relief except temporarily in a relationship, in moments, in small little doses. But overall, you'll look at it and you'll say, damn, this is way too much. I can't be bothered with this. I'm not getting what I want out of this. And that's when the illusion of the Ascension, comes into play. When you kind of realize, like, wow, I'm really not going to get anything out of this. You also have something called the Coolidge effect, which I learned about this because I've done extensive research on corn. And the reason you always seek out new stimulus is that that's a natural thing. You are no different than a rat in a cage. A rat will do the same thing. So eventually she will bore you. I mean, this is why women wear makeup. This is why couples will engage in all kinds of various fetishizations, and that's to keep things more interesting in the bedroom, because you will get bored in some way, shape, or form. It's a spectrum. It's not on and off, but yeah, it's some days you'll look at her and you'll just be like, nah. And other days, that asshole's looking pretty. That's how it is. And then, speaking of sex, I mentioned this, I think, in my previous video as well. When she says no, especially for sexual requests, it will bother you. I found it very difficult to not want to leave her when she said no to a very simple sexual request of flipping her body 180 degrees for doggy style. And that was the only time she said no, because I ended the relationship, like, literally within 2 days. Not just for that reason, but, you know, you can go get a little more detail on that. Eventually I'll probably make a video on my one relationship that I've had and what I've learned from it. I don't want to get into specifics so much. I want to talk more about what I learned from it rather than the story. As much as the story would be very interesting, I just... I don't regret the relationship, and I respect her too much to give so much detail that, you know, anyone could figure it out, per se. Although I keep my life very private. But that's... Anyway. Running on a tangent there. Your desire will disappoint you. That is the ultimate myth of Ascension, is that your desire will give you something. You know, look into Buddhism. It will not... Desire will always disappoint you eventually. Wanting will leave you wanting. I really don't understand this nose thing right now. But, yeah. I think that's all I really have to say on this subject. I think I covered everything I wanted to. By all means, please, if there's something I missed, let me know in the comments. I'll be sure to address it. But, I guess I'll end with this. If you're in a position where you are still a virgin, I want to tell you that there is no time period as to when it can happen for you. It happened for me at 30. I've seen plenty of comments from other men in other videos and other places on the internet where for them it was 34. For them it was in their 40s. It can happen at any time. Eventually I'll make a video about how life doesn't end after 30. Because some people make that comment and it's just stupid. But if you're in that position where you haven't yet had sex, a lot of this will be hard to believe because you have hope. And that hope will go away when and if you have sex. And if you already have had sex, then I'm sure you'll more or less agree with everything I've said. But if you feel I missed something, please let me know in the comments, and I will leave it there, boys. Take care.